It is 6 o'clock. I'd like to call the meeting to order. If you would stand for a moment of silence, followed by the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, welcome everyone, and welcome everyone who's at home watching. Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Trustee DeVore.
Present.
Trustee Gatt.
Present.
Trustee Kazam.
Present.
Trustee Marfell.
Present.
Trustee Wigginton.
Present.
Trustee Weisenberg.
Present.
All right, good to see everyone again tonight. Good to have Trustee Gatt back. Okay, we would be at approval of the meeting minutes from October 5th, 2021. I would ask for a motion to approve the minutes.
So moved.
I have a motion
Second.
and a second. Are there any questions on the minutes or corrections? Hearing none, all those in favor of approving the minutes signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? The ayes have it. We would be at comments from the audience. If anyone would like to address the board, please come forward to the podium and give your name and address and try and keep your remarks under 5 minutes. Anyone here tonight to address the board? Going once, going twice. Comments from the audience are closed. Any old business to come before the board? Hearing none, we'll get right into new business. Administration has a couple of pieces. This is both under Administration and Economic Development, Trustee DeVore and Trustee Kazam. The first piece is approval of the use of Tower Park on Friday, December 3rd, 2021 for the Kris Kringle Market. Ladies, I'd ask for a motion to approve this.
I make a motion to approve the use of Tower Park on December 3rd for the Kris Kringle Market.
And a second?
A second.
Okay. Any discussion? Sarah, would you set this up, please?
Sure. I see that Barb's here, and so a couple of us were fortunate enough to have a meeting with them yesterday to hear all their ideas for their holiday events. We just had a couple of questions, and so thank you guys for taking time out of your day to answer those for us. They are hoping that they have 20 vendors at least, which I think initially we think that it would fit inside Tower Park. But they've also requested the use of the parking lot if they were to have more vendors. I would be in favor of allowing them to have all of that. They said they would also be willing to reach out to Pearl companies to see if they could have some event parking over there. And I thought that this board would also agree that we would give them the space that they needed, that we had available for them. So I don't know, Barbara, if you want to come up and say something?
Welcome, ladies. Thanks for being here. Thank you, Barb.
You're welcome. Hi, so Barb Malashi on behalf of the Peoria Heights Chamber of Commerce. So I was able to speak with a representative from Pearl, and they did say that we could use their parking lot. They do have an event that they'll be shuttling their employees to another location, but they believe that there will still be 75% of their parking lot that would still be available as far as that particular issue.
Okay, great. Do you want to get this out of the way, Trustee DeVore, and then go to the next piece, or?
I think we should. I feel like they're two separate
Yeah.
situations, so I think we should vote on this first and then go to the next.
Okay, so again, we are at approval of the use of Tower Park on this item. Is there any further discussion on this?
Do we need to make an amendment to include the parking lot, or does just Tower Park encompasses it all?
For our parking lot, I mean,
Yeah.
I think that's a given, as long as everyone's okay with that. It's a public parking lot anyway,
Yeah.
and we don't really have any restrictions on that. So I think we're okay.
Okay.
As long as everybody understands and no objection. All right, Madam Clerk, call the roll when you're ready, please.
Trustee DeVore.
Aye.
Trustee Gatt.
Aye.
Trustee Kazam.
Aye.
Trustee Marfell.
Aye.
Trustee Wigginton.
Aye.
Trustee Weisenberg.
Aye.
Okay, that passes, and again, this is a two-part approval. So the next is approval of a donation request for the Kris Kringle Market in the amount of $12,000. Trustee DeVore, I'd ask for a motion to approve.
I make a motion to approve.
And a second, please.
Second.
Okay, go ahead, Trustee DeVore.
Okay, so you have in front of you a bid from the chamber for their Kris Kringle Market and what they feel that some of the costs represented for this event would be. We did have some new suggestions to them, and I know that they did send an email to Chief Thompson and Superintendent Casey. I don't know if you received responses back from them or if this has changed at all since we saw it. So On our agenda, it says 12,000. They have reduced it to 10,000, and I didn't know if there were any additional changes that you would have.
At this time, the new amount of the 10,000 is the current request.
Okay.
Was there a response from the chief, or Mike, did you see those emails? I know they came in.
Yeah, I've seen some of them, but
Okay.
Yeah, I don't believe there has been a response from the emails. As far as I know, there have not been.
Okay. Well, can we discuss it with them since we're all here now? So we didn't know if there was a possibility for any of their hanging lights, if, like Mike, if we had extra
I
lights.
talked to her last night, yes.
You did? Okay, and then we could put them up for them?
Jill, I talked to.
Yeah.
We're working it out, because I'm gonna put my stuff up, I want to kind of let her see what I got up, and then we'll go from there, and I can do the pavilion, no problem.
And you think that we would be able
Hanging
to?
the lights, I'd have to really, just the power source is the main thing.
Okay, well, so Barb, in this layout, you have that electricity for the tents, would that also include getting power to those lights as well?
Yes, it would include both.
So that we would have that, would we be able to?
Now, how much power are we talking? Are we putting cookers in these places, or is it just
No.
lights, basically? If it's just LED lights, it shouldn't.
Yeah.
draw too many.
So we would be able to assist them with that, correct?
Yeah, I was just seeing what,
How'd you-
we got our stuff plugged in too, so
Welcome, Jill.
just depends on how much they plug in.
Okay, so I think, so when you say electricity for the tents, are you planning on having generators brought in?
Yes.
So they already have that budgeted in to bring generators to
Okay.
power them?
Okay.
Okay. And then Chief Thompson, I didn't know if this was a possibility or not, but I had brought up the suggestion, instead of having stand heaters, would it be possible to have small fire pits throughout that the fire department could, keep an eye on, have our volunteer firefighters here to monitor them? Is that something that we could do instead of the stand heaters? Would you be able to accommodate that, and what does the liability on that look like?
Yeah, my biggest concern is public safety, because you're gonna have a crowd out there, we're gonna have these children running around outside, if they would run into one of these and tip it over or get burned in the process.
So you think it would be too much of a liability?
That's not really a really good idea out here.
Okay, perfect. I did hear that a suggestion was made last night at your committee meeting about asking some of the businesses if you could use their heat lamps. Did you have an opportunity to ask anybody yet at this point?
I
for
have
that?
not had an opportunity to call yet.
Okay, I mean, I get it, it's been very short notice, I just thought I would ask.
Yeah.
Okay,
I have a concern that we're cutting corners to save money, corners that may not be the most safest, as far as like electricity and like the chief said, with the fire and stuff. I don't know if we should cut corners.
no, I mean, they're saying it's a no then on the fire. So if it was just to ask Chief Thompson his opinion on it. If he's saying no, then we wouldn't do that. I don't know how we're cutting corners on electricity though.
Yeah.
They're bringing in generators to generate all of it, so I guess I just don't understand.
Okay, I was under the understanding you were asking Mr. Casey to basically handle the electricity for the event. That's the way I
No, I
understood
just
it.
was wondering if they have on this list, if you see strand lighting, and I didn't know if we could help them with strand lighting instead of renting lighting.
Okay, I got you.
For $1,500 that we would no longer possess.
Okay.
And then that would be a reoccurring expense that the chamber would have every year, versus if, they were able to purchase it, or if the village itself had extras that they could use, and could the street department help them by hanging them? That was
Gotcha,
all.
okay. Trust, sorry.
Do we have extra though? I mean, Mike, do we have extra that we can?
Usually when we have them for a season, they're not really feasible to usually get them, so I probably buy some and put them up around the pavilion. But I do have some, yeah.
Okay.
Trustee DeVore, this money from this motion, whether it's 12 or 10, seems like 10 now, would this be coming out of the general fund? Is that where it would be coming from?
Stephanie?
This is, so the chamber, we did budget an amount for the chamber to have allocated funds, so this, monies that we would decide for this would already come out of a budget, our budget.
Okay, so it is, but it's currently sitting in the general fund.
Stephanie?
It's budgeted money. Where is it, Stephanie?
So there is $10,000 that was budgeted to the Chamber of Commerce. Portion of that has already been spent, so I believe that there is somewhere just north of $8,000 currently.
So, but where is it sitting? I mean, we've got it budgeted, but where is it?
Oh,
Where's
it's
the-
general fund.
It's in the general fund?
General
Okay.
fund admin class.
All right. So, thank you.
Yes,
So,
sorry.
with that being said, one of the things, and I sat in on this meeting yesterday, and I think one of the things that I heard from all of us that were on that meeting, on that call, was I think we had some concerns about, from the residents' perspective, we have to answer to the residents here in the Heights, and we're spending this money for commercial enterprise. And one of the things that I heard from you both say is that your goal as the chamber is to not make money for the chamber. It's to drive business to our local businesses. And I think that this event is really going to drive business to our local businesses. This is a development for our business district. And so, with that being said, I move that the money for this event, I move to amend that the money for this event come from the Business Development District funds rather than the general fund or whatever this budgeted money comes from, because I think that we have other important issues to come out of the general fund in the future. So I think this directly benefits the businesses, and this would be a good use, rather than for signs that people don't pay into the Business Development District. This benefits the Business Development District, so I move to amend that this money comes out of the BDD funds. BDD 1A.
Okay, is there a second?
Second.
Okay, now that it's been moved and seconded, I'm fairly certain, and Stephanie, jump in and help me, we will have to check with Steve Klein. I think it's an eligible expense, but we don't know for sure. Do you have an opinion?
Typically, if it's not a permanent improvement, it tends not to be an eligible expense, but I can work with Klein's office about identifying expenses that the general fund has previously paid for that would be BDD eligible, and then transfer funds from the BDD in that amount, in the amount of the donation. And then it would still be spent out of the general fund, but the general fund would be reimbursed for other expenses out of the BDD.
I think that's the right move. I mean, creative accounting, whether it be that, and I trust you, Stephanie, to do that. But I think this solves a lot of our concerns with, having to answer to the residents. And this comes from this is coming from a tax on the businesses. And this is a good use to drive business to our business development district. So I appreciate the second on that.
Okay, and that was for $12,000 then?
Well, can we amend that still, or can we just?
Well, not amend an amendment, so let's go back to the.
My amendment is for $10,000, the amount requested.
And is that second, you still second that?
So I have to do it on the dollar amount?
Well, we have to.
Yeah, okay, I'll second it, that's fine, that's fine.
We'd have to vote on his amendment first, but we're
Yeah.
still discussing the
Yeah.
There
amendment.
could be another amendment if
Yeah.
that,
After we vote on the.
If it doesn't pass.
That's what I thought. It is true that we do have money budgeted for the chamber, but I was under the assumption that none of that money was accessible until an audit was completed.
so this would be a policy, maybe an unwritten policy, but I can tell you it's my policy and Dustin's policy that no public money would go to any organization unless they had an outside audit. I mean, certainly they run a fantastic organization here, but we've all seen plenty of things, in other organizations where, money's not accountable. So until that outside audit is done, it's been my opinion that there would be no direct payment to the chamber, and I know Dustin wholeheartedly agrees with that. The board can go around that, but I would recommend you don't.
No, I agree. So to my knowledge, this audit hasn't been done. Either it hasn't been done, it can't be done, or won't be done, I don't understand. But I have some concerns about continuing because we're not going to pay the vendors directly, we're going to pay the
We'd have to
chamber.
pay a vendor.
And then the chamber, without an audit, we don't know where the money's going, because we're not checking receipts. So I'm a little concerned that we continue to funnel public monies into an entity that can't or won't complete an audit. It seems a bit indecorous to me that we continue to do this when we've said we're not going to give you any more money unless an audit's done. So, speaking on behalf of the residents, we have an obligation to guard their interests, and we've asked for an audit, and the audit hasn't happened. I don't understand why the audit hasn't happened,
Could we speak, please?
but I'm not prepared to give any money until an audit's done. Because that's what the agreement
And
was.
I agree with trustee Weisenberg. Do you have any, ladies, you want to respond to that before we?
Yeah, we have tried to get an audit done, and we have had issues with trying to get it done. A lot of our paperwork was locked up in the bank. We finally got that back from the bank from one of our past treasurer had that when she was walked out of the bank. Our box of stuff was there. We finally got that back. When we took it to the accountant that was recommended, I thought through the village, we asked who you would like to see the audit through. We didn't get a good answer why he couldn't do the audit or why he didn't do the audit. We've tried, and we're kind of stuck because we can't get help from you all without that audit, but we can't get somebody to finish the audit. So we're stuck in this really crazy gray area with it. I
Correct me
wish
if
I
I'm-
had a better answer.
Correct me if I'm wrong,
Can I
but-
provide some clarification? So we recommended to them Ron Hilton, who is our auditor as well, and also made clear to them that if they would like to contact an auditor that was not
Right.
the village's auditor, that would be fine as well. Ron did reach out to, I believe, you, Ms. Wakefield, and the treasurer. I believe you were CC'd on an email. But when your new treasurer stepped up, and I'm sorry, I don't remember his name, but I'll
Chris
check my
Rice.
emails. We reached out to him, and Ron explained to them that he couldn't complete an audit because of a lack of paperwork, but there were other alternate things he could complete to get them to a point where he would be comfortable basically kind of starting over fresh. He would review what paperwork was there, write kind of a letter stating, I can't review everything in detail because some of it's missing. This is what I've been able to review. This is, a starting point going forward. And from there, they would be able to go forward and complete audits. I'm not sure what happened on the chamber's end at that point, why they didn't follow through.
You know how
with
long ago
Mr.
that's been, Ms.
I will
Turner?
check right now.
So, yeah, and thank you for that good answer, Stephanie, but for the record, we're not in the business of recommending auditors, but I think we made you aware of who we
Yeah,
use
and-
here,
Right,
so.
we were
And I just
trying to
wanted to
follow
clarify, I don't think it's the responsibility of this government entity to have anything to do with your audit. The way I understand the chambers, it's a separate nonprofit entity. So your audit's your business, so you don't really need our help to complete your audit, and the audit's still not done.
And I don't think we're looking to go, as a village, to go back, we're looking forward, so as
I
long as
agree.
it can be clear from here on out, but that's my own opinion, and, but you're right, I agree with you. So anyone else on the amendment?
The email was sent in February of 2021 to Chris Reese, Jill, Chief Sutton, and also, I believe Ron was CC'd on that. Yeah, Ron was CC'd on that as well, so they had his contact.
January of this year?
February of this year.
February, all right.
February, so we're approaching a year, and the audit's still not done.
I was unaware of that. I will check my spam. So I did not know that email existed.
Okay, back to the amendment. Any other discussion on the amendment?
Well, I think that, I think this amendment, if there is any, I think this actually, I don't know if it gets to where you are, Brandon, but I think it does add some protections to the citizens here, the residents of Peoria Heights. This money that would be, the funds that would be used in the long run, and regardless of how they're derived, but the funds that I'm asking that to be used would be BDD funds, which those BDD funds are derived from a 1% tax on the business district. And since I believe these events, these three events that you're proposing will drive business to our business district, I think this is a good use of the funds, and this does not take money from our residents. It takes it out of a tax that's levied on our businesses here.
Trustee Wigington, I know you had in the past said that BDD funds should not go to entities that do not directly generate the revenue. The chamber does not directly.
They are an advocacy group for those who directly pay for it. They're more in the line of paying that tax than someone who absolutely doesn't and ends up with an aesthetic on their building and a couple of signs on their building. So I don't think that I am outside of what I'm saying at all, by saying that the chamber is a conduit to our business community and more directly pays for that tax than anyone that absolutely doesn't.
Just for clarification, the chamber absolutely does not generate any tax revenue.
But this event would.
Marginally.
True.
All right, let's see if,
It may-
gentlemen, I'll come back to you. Let's see if anyone else has.
Marginally, because your vendors are Peoria Heights businesses. Or
Not
you're
necessarily.
first-
Not
you're first
necessarily.
reaching out to Peoria Heights vendors.
Correct.
What wasn't the initial plan?
That is not true.
Well, let me say that even if they are not I would like that they all be vendors personally, but even if they're not, they should still be reporting sales tax here in the village. So go ahead, trustee Kazam.
So I just wanted to clarify that they will be generating sales tax revenue in the village of Peoria Heights for this event.
Yes.
Correct.
And I agree with trustee Wigginton that the monies should come out of the BDD.
I think I'd be way more on board with some of the monies that we do provide to the chamber if they were coming out of the BDD. So Stephanie, can you find out moving forward how that looks like before we come to budget time? Like, you know what I mean? Like, if that's, like, can we do that? Can
Oh,
we-
yeah, I can find out about that, and I'll reach out to you
Okay.
for specifics about what.
Yeah, go ahead, Beth, I'm
Well,
sorry.
and again, I mean, we need to check with Steve Klein and Klein and Associates.
Yes.
Because generally, the monies that are used from the BDD are used for things that are fixed, not, things that are affixed to a building, that are hardscape, that type of thing that can't be removed from an area. But that's something we need to get more clarification on. To make sure that this is-
Also, can you tell, I know we just did this in our last meeting, but can you tell me what is the amount of money in the BDD fund for BDD number 1?
Not specifically for BDD number 1. I don't
Okay.
have them separated.
That's okay, or the total, that's fine.
I can email out the board tomorrow if that would be, or would you rather, you need it right now?
I would rather have it, can you just give me a ballpark?
I can
don't
give
need
you
the
a-
exact number.
If you want to continue the discussion, I will see what I can find.
Okay, perfect.
Can we make a vote on this motion?
Yeah, so we have to vote on the amendment, right, before we can talk about board things.
Correct.
We're gonna vote on this amendment that
Okay.
trustee Wigginton has made the motion, and I believe you seconded
Yes.
the motion. So do you have anything else, trustee DeVore?
No.
Let me just interject a couple of things. One, you mentioned a budget. So we did budget this money, and I want to thank all of you for all what you do at Peoria Heights. You really are not, any of you are the reason there hasn't been an audit. Those were things that happened in the past. You're trying to fix that, so thank you. But if there had been an audit, we wouldn't even be here tonight because this money would have already been budgeted. You would have had the use of the money. So I hope that we can get through this, and we'll help you if you need help with the audit and getting that done so we don't have to go through this again. One last thing, though, and everything that's been said tonight I agree with, but we also have talked about a tourism piece. And Barb and Jill, they drop by and we chat about once a month, and sometimes Andrea and different people from the chamber. One of the things that, came out of the comprehensive plan and that they had seen was this tourism piece. So we have talked a lot about how the LaSalle, Peru, Starved Rock area has really evolved over the last couple of decades from an old industrial area into a destination where there's a lot of money being spent on sales tax by people visiting that area. And I think, Barb, I'm paraphrasing, but the two of you had seen this up in Ottawa and how well it worked, is that correct?
Correct.
And thought that this would be a good thing to duplicate here. So that's kind of, I guess, where it originated, and I want to thank you for bringing us the idea. Is anyone else on the amendment? And Madam Clerk, please restate that again and then call the vote when you're ready.
All right, the amendment to the motion is to make a donation to the Chris Kringle Mart in the amount of $10,000 to be paid from the BDD number 1 fund or to be reimbursed from the BDD number 1 fund to the general fund. Trustee Wigginton made the motion and trustee DeVore seconded. A roll call for this.
And let me interject again that this is contingent on, checking with Steve Klein and Nick Nelson, who's the counsel for us with Klein & Associates, that these will be eligible expenses.
Mayor, just for clarification, so this vote is just to say we're going to amend the main motion to withdraw the money and get reimbursed from the BDD.
This is a funding mechanism
Okay.
proposed.
It's not actually approving the amount or.
No, there isn't. He said, you said 10,000, correct, trustee Wigginton?
It's changing the amount and where the money's coming from.
It's changing the overarching motion. So the amendment, this is just the vote on the amendment to the first motion.
The funding source and the amount. Is that right, Trustee Wigginton?
That's right. So they will, after this vote, there will need to be an additional vote on the overarching motion.
If it passes,
I get it.
if it passes, we'll be voting on the main motion as amended. If it doesn't pass, we'll be back to the beginning.
Okay.
Madam Clerk,
Trustee DeVore.
I'm sorry. So,
We can still amend,
okay, aye.
Trustee Gett.
and we will.
Trustee Kazam.
Aye.
Trustee Marfel.
Aye.
Trustee Wigginton.
Aye.
Trustee Weisenberg.
Aye.
all right, well, surprisingly, that passes unanimously. We're back to the main motion as amended, which is to approve of funding from the BDD for the Kris Kringle Market. Is there any further discussion on the motion as amended?
I have an amendment, Mayor,
Go ahead.
if I may. Is that okay?
Yeah, go ahead. I
We're
just
good.
feel like we all have amendments.
No,
so
I do have
just
an
party
amendment.
on. Go ahead.
Sure. I move to amend the approval of the donation request for the Kris Kringle Mark to require an audit of the Chamber's finances as previously requested within 6 months as a prerequisite of accepting the public money.
Is there a second?
Second.
All right, well, and I tend to agree with that, but I don't know how, because this money's going to be spent by the time you give them the 6 months, so.
Well, maybe they'll have to pay it back, but if we don't set a hard deadline for an audit, it's almost been a year. I don't think it'll ever get done. So we should have some kind of requirement for an audit to be done. We've already asked for it. It hasn't happened. There's got to be some teeth to this. And if
Would you like to speak to that?
someone has a better idea on how to get our audit, I'm open to it.
I will take care of that audit. It will happen, and I will make sure that every invoice that we use to spend with that money, I will submit a copy to the board.
Sounds like they're in agreement with it.
Okay. Anything else on Trustee Weisenberg's?
6 months, that seems like a reasonable time. How does that sound to you all?
I would hope that we could do it sooner than that, but I would agree with that 6 months.
Okay.
I'd rather, I support all this. I think we're getting a little bit, so I want to know when 6 months, when does the clock start ticking?
Today.
Today? All right. Madam Clerk, please note that, 6 months from today.
Okay.
Anyone else on the amendment? All right, call the roll on this amendment.
Can we have the reading of the amendment once more?
Yes, please.
I have Trustee Weisenberg made an amendment to the motion. His amendment is to require an audit from the chamber within 6 months of October 26, 2021. I have Trustee Gett seconding the motion. Is that correct, gentlemen?
So this is in addition to the prior amendment, this is just adding that language?
I
Okay,
will read out the full
yeah,
when
okay.
we get to that point.
All right, call the motion on the amendment, please.
Trustee DeVore.
Aye.
Trustee Gett. Trustee Kazam.
Aye.
Trustee Marfel.
Aye.
Trustee Wigginton.
Aye.
Trustee Weisenberg.
Aye.
All right, back to the main motion, which is to approve this funding source from the BDD, but with the requirement that there be an audit by the chamber within 6 months starting of today. Correct?
Yes.
Madam Clerk, call the roll when you're ready.
Wait. This is just,
Yeah, so we can make more amendments.
what?
We can make more amendments.
Okay. I'm so confused.
Didn't we just
No.
vote? We know.
We just
No,
voted.
this would be the most, this would, calling for the vote would be the vote on the overarching motion at
Right.
this time.
Right, but we haven't made that vote yet.
No,
She's-
that's
No,
what
I'm saying,
made
I'm
this
not ready
call.
to make that vote.
Yeah, we're not ready, no, yeah, we're not ready to vote yet.
I want to make an amendment, but I have a few things to say first, if that's allowed.
I'm going to ask you if you have amendments, we do it because,
Okay.
whatever amendments you have, let's get them out there now and do it in one.
Okay, I make a motion to make an amendment for the total donation to be in the amount of $5,000.
Second. Now we can discuss the motion and whatever you have to say, right?
Yes.
Okay, so I want to tell you why I said that. So first, I want to thank the chamber for all the hard work they've already invested into these holiday events for our village. I am in full support of these events taking place in our community. I would love for the village to offer any space and resources that we already pay for to make each one of these events as successful as possible. I believe that the marketing budget is not necessarily an expense that is needed for these events. Small Business Saturday, Light the Heights, and Chocolate Walk should accrue very little expenses for the chamber. Every entity in this community has had to make cutbacks in these difficult times. As a small business owner myself, I completely understand and am empathetic that the chamber funds are decreased currently due to COVID. We have all had to look at our finances in a different way to accommodate the loss of revenue we have suffered. The village has applied for multiple grants and funds to help support the village itself, our residents, and our businesses. I believe that with a few cutbacks, donations and sponsorships can make these events that the chamber is putting on successful without the village supporting the majority of the original cost asking of $12,000. There are several free ways to advertise, as well as using Mike Bailey, the school district, and all the businesses to support you. Being the trustee of administration and finance, it is my responsibility to look at the return on investment of all of our additional spending, as well as the appropriation of funds. This portion kind of changes as we moved for the BDD, because I really had a big problem with using public money for advertising expenses. But as we've changed for the vote of the BDD, I think it's a little bit more appropriate. But as elected officials, it is our responsibility to make this decision that is best for the community as a whole, businesses and residents. It is my desire that the village board, residents and village services, the school district and our business community can all come together and work as one, be supportive of each other and show the world what a vibrant community we have. I believe that if you ask for the help, it will come from all these other entities as well as assistance from this board. With the fact that you have the potential of being able to use the lighting elements or the heat elements from other businesses, the fact that Superintendent Casey is willing to purchase lights if we don't have them and install the lights for you, that potentially could cut $2,500 off of the budget that you have listed here. And then by using social media, I think that you would still be able to have very successful events to do that. So that's where I came to for my motion.
Okay, anyone
Can
else?
we respond to that, please?
Yeah, we're not done discussing it yet.
Go ahead.
Something?
Okay. With the monies that were asked for with the advertising, we want this to reach further than just the community. There's 3 events. When we say the Kringle Market, that is 3 events that we're going to be doing. To have 3 events for $5,000, I don't see that that's feasible. You have volunteers and so many that are going to be putting so much effort into this. I don't want to do something that is just going to be I don't want to say low budget, but in a sense, I get emotional for it. I'm very passionate about the village, and I
Understand?
I need to.
Yeah, so one thing I want to point out is in what you just said, Trustee DeVore, that really you're taking away a monetary number, like an actual physical, us giving them money and doing an in-kind donation.
Correct.
For the lights and the labor. Is that something that you're willing to do, Mr. Casey? So you said purchase the lights and install?
Yeah, around the pavilion, and we usually can
Okay,
put
so
them out.
it's really an in-kind donation, it's just.
Instead of removing the money.
So instead of taking those monies out, just wanted to make that clear. And I have had some discussion with my fellow trustees as well, and we really want this to be a successful. We understand, first of all, the effort, the passion, and the purpose, which is really to drive tourism to our community from surrounding areas. One thing I would like, we've mentioned the help of Mike Bailey and his connections with the Peoria Journal-Star and other news outlets. And we also have other relationships, which I am not 100% at liberty to discuss with you because we're not in contract yet. But I would love to have a follow-up meeting with the 2 of you to help assist with some of that publicity in the next 10 days to 2 weeks. That would alleviate some of this cost that you've, attributed to marketing.
Okay. If it helps to know, if I may speak, the biggest fundraising event or the biggest event that we've hosted so far in the village was the Taste of Heights. And it was a one-day event, and it cost us $3,500 in advertising for that event to make it that successful. So we're asking for less than $2,000 per event for advertising, which is not and I know that there are free ways to do it, and we need to saturate that as well. I'm not dismissing that in any way, shape, or form. But I think we need to look at bringing in, again, if we can help bring those tax dollars in, if we need to go outside our community a bit, people are willing to drive an hour and a half away. And if we can reach some of those people through, I'm looking into, and I apologize, I could not get that meeting before today, a direct email campaign with another one of our chamber members, that we could reach out to, a much larger area to bring more people in and to support our community.
In the past, we've done Small Business Saturday, we've done Chocolate in the Heights, and we haven't spent thousands of dollars advertising these events. The request before us today is for 3 events: the Small Business Saturday, Chocolate in the Heights, and the Kris Kringle Market. The Heights is primarily small businesses. We all know that. It's the reputation of the Heights. And it is Small Business Saturday. It's literally in the name. So I don't know how much more you can advertise to let people know that small businesses are having a small business event on Small Business Saturday. I do find the $5,000 more palatable.
Can I get some education on the chamber, maybe Sarah or Beth? Is this unique to our village or the other villages around the area? Do they?
Kris Kringle Market?
No, I'm sorry. Do their chamber rely on their?
If you go to,
We mentioned, I'm sorry, just to reiterate what the mayor mentioned previously, in a normal situation, we would have paid dues to our local chamber, and then they would have used those monies to do different events. But we didn't, this is an unusual situation
So-
based on the audit.
if you research the national, average for chambers, though, a lot of communities do not give money to their chambers. It is done through membership dues paid through by the businesses, fundraisers, and donations for their funding. I feel like our chamber is in a unique experience because our businesses our district has been growing, and with COVID, I think there's been a lot of change, there's been some turnover, so I understand why maybe some of the finances are down. But it's not typical that every community, their government gives to the chamber.
I think it's a little of this, little of that, and it depends upon the city or the village. I think you'll find that in smaller municipalities, there's maybe a more enhanced relationship with a chamber or a merchants association. After tonight, I would really like for us to, after the first year, sit down with the chamber and talk about how that relationship will look in the future. I think we need to collaborate a whole lot more closely. We get past this issue, but so Trustee Marfell, I think there are some relationships that might be close and maybe some not so close. Anyone else on the amendment? Madam Clerk, when you're ready, call the roll.
All right, this is an amended, sorry, I'm going to start over. This is an amendment to the main motion. The amendment is to reduce, or not to reduce, to change the donation amount to $5,000. Trustee DeVore.
Aye.
Trustee Gatt.
Aye.
Trustee Kazam.
Nay.
Trustee Marfell.
Nay.
Trustee Wigginton.
Nay.
Trustee Weisenberg.
Aye.
Mayor, that's 3 votes versus 3 votes.
I'm a no. I would ask if, could we ask that the motion be up to 10,000? So that we,
So would that take another amendment to change the wording up to? That's not what is currently worded.
I support what you're trying to do, but I don't want to inhibit what they're doing if it's 5,500, Trustee DeVore, so.
I had a thought, I don't know if this is the right time to, but as
Yeah,
I
let's
was
get
doing
through this.
the math, and if we take away the electricity and the heaters, it takes the budget down to $7,500.
Or Trustee DeVore, are you willing, if they needed more money than the 5,000, would we be open as a board to come back and take a look at that?
I would be open to that, or I would be willing to go to the $7,500.
Mayor, I'm sorry to interrupt. I think one thing that Trustee Marfell, and I agree, he said this early on in this discussion, and, you know, are we cutting corners for public, you know, at the expense of public safety, or frankly, just to have an event that looks cheap? And I want us to have, if it's going to have our name associated, it's Peoria Heights, and it's happening in the Chris Kringle market. You know, Small Business Saturday, you're right, Trustee Weisenberg, it's in the name, Small Business Saturday, and we have small businesses here in Peoria Heights. But you know where else has small business? Everybody else has small business. So we're competing not only against, you know, Peoria, but we're everywhere. So I hesitate putting, you know, I think up to $10,000 is good wording, Mr. Mayor. But I would hate to, you know, micromanage the heck out of this thing to bind the hands of the chamber to put on a good event. And I don't want us to have an event that looks like crap.
Yeah, that's exactly why I voted no on that $5,000, is I feel like we're cutting corners by taking away electricity and strand lighting. My concern is that how much is this going to tax our Public Works Department? Is this going to turn into a weak project for them? I mean, if that's the case, we might as well make it a Peoria Heights, Village of Peoria Heights, you know, event instead of a chamber event. So that's the reason why I'm not interested in lowering the amount, because I still feel like we're cutting corners, and it needs to be a professional. I'm not saying that the Public Works can't do professional work, but it needs to look good, and it needs to be done right and not tax our Public Works Department. They got enough stuff to do.
So Mayor, comment's still open?
Yeah, but I'd like to get to, so would everyone be all right if we vote on 5,000 tonight, let them get their budget together, let Mike get involved, let staff get involved, and then if necessary, are you willing to revisit this when we meet again to see if the board's open to more money for the budget?
Well, I almost, like, to be honest, if everyone wants to vote in favor of more, I'd rather just vote in favor of more, because all this does is take more time from everyone, right? If they have to come back, then who are they calling up here to get on the agenda that takes the you know, people here that are working, it's time for them. So if everybody's in agreement to do more, like, I can vote against it, like, but I would rather not waste everyone's time if that's how they feel.
I feel we can go ahead and give them the 10,000. The only reason I voted yes was I wanted to make sure they got some money so they can get going on this. But if everybody's wanting, I want to give them $10,000.
What about the up to?
I mean, to be honest, like, I feel like why would we do up to? They're gonna spend like, they're asking for $10,000, they're probably gonna spend.
So
Well,
let's-
the reason is we don't have an audit and we'd like to see the finance.
Well, if I may speak, if I can get the heaters, if we can borrow those from the other businesses, I would not take that money for that. I mean, what I've asked for, what my board has asked for, we will only take and use it for what we're asking for it. I won't let my board just spend because we've got it. That's not good business. That's not good relationship building with the village.
If the wording is gonna be like that, then I mean, you could do up to 10, because then, but I wouldn't want it to just hand them 10,000 if then they only use 5, and then they're sitting on 5, and then they're here in 6 months asking us for $10,000 more for the next event they're gonna put on.
I would go back and I would support your vote, as long as if there is a legitimate expense that needs to be covered, because I'm in a little bit of a quandary. I asked these folks to do it, but I put you over finance, and I want to support you on the financial piece. So if you would be open in the future, if there's an unexpected expense where they can't pull things off or we can't do in-kind services, where you would at least be open to something past the $5,000.
That's fine.
Well, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think that in the past, what we used to do was we would vote for the amount of money, and they would get the money when they would go and get the expense, they would give us the receipts, and then they would get the money. I mean, I don't know how the chamber is doing now with it, but it seems to me in the past we used to, we gave you the money, but we didn't give it all to you in one lump sum. So I'm for all, like I said.
Trustee DeVore, I know you're busy with running the business. Do you have, the time to not do everything, but to collaborate with them to see how the budget's unfolding?
Sure, yeah, I mean, that's no problem.
Are you willing to do that?
Yeah,
As I'm willing to change my vote if you are willing to be open-minded to any future expenses that are necessary.
I can do that.
Change the vote to what, 5?
I would
Change
support,
the 5,000?
yes.
All right.
So then 5,000, but then if they need more than that, we would allow them, so how would that read? Can you?
We would
tell
just
me?
bring it back before the board.
So,
I feel-
if I may add, sorry, Sarah. So doesn't 5,000 mostly cover everything except for marketing?
Marketing.
All right,
And-
so we're not cutting corners.
Well,
Casey wasn't going to do the marketing or Public Works, so, I mean,
And Mike
we cut
is,
out the marketing expenses.
you have Mike to do whatever you need as far as help with marketing. And I'm going to, Trustee Kazam, I'm far enough away from you where you can't kick me, but I'm going to, you alluded to something earlier, so we're bringing before the board, and I hope you ladies are comfortable with this, we're bringing before the board, Trustee Kazam's done a lot of work with the Peoria Area Convention and Visitors Bureau, and we have a proposal for an enhanced relationship with them. I'm sorry, Beth, if I shouldn't have announced that, but
that's fine.
it's something that we want to bring to all of you, and if that occurs, then they could do a lot of the marketing.
Yes, they could be very helpful to this effort. It would be a collaborative effort in marketing in many different ways, including articles, social media, direct emailing, that type of thing.
Would there be expense to the chamber for that?
No.
Thank you.
So again, the board is going to have to hear that out and approve it, but that is something that's in the pipeline, and between them and Mike Bailey, I think you'll get a Cadillac version of a marketing plan.
But there is that anything that would be accessible for us for this coming year?
Yes.
Yeah, so first of all, as the mayor said, we're not in contract yet, and there are some, in that contract, there are marketing opportunities that we will have already paid for as a village. Anything above that could be extra expense. I want to be very clear on that. So if it's, television and that type of thing, that's not included in that. That's why I just hesitated to speak tonight, because I don't have all of the specifics, and I don't know exactly what your vision is for marketing for your specific event either. So, but
We were
I'm happy
also-
to follow up with you.
I'm sorry, I didn't mean
No,
to.
it's fine. I'm happy to follow up with you as this, solidifies.
Okay.
So I think this will get you where you want to be, maybe even in a better way, and I think it will give the board the accountability they're looking for and the wise spending of tax dollars. So again, this has to be approved by the board, but we have had a relationship with the Convention and Visitors Bureau in the past at a very basic level. This would be more of an enhanced one that would help promote business within Peoria Heights and promote the tourism piece. And so I think this could solve everything if we just...
I do think that, I feel like we're getting into the weeds here a little bit, but they could need more money for advertising. That is very possible, and that's why I didn't want to take away the entire advertising budget. If you're trying to reach communities outside of the greater, just Peoria and Peoria Heights, really there are just a few ways to do that other than social media, so.
So Trustee DeVore, if you're willing to make that previous motion, we'll see where we're at. So this new piece with the Convention and Visitors Bureau, it's both a finance piece and it's both a economic development piece. So the same ladies are overseeing that piece. Yes, Jill, go ahead.
The only concern I have is just the timing of it. We're only a few days from November. We had planned on starting a lot of our marketing by November 10th because of Small Business Saturday on November 27th. I think that's my only concern, is just the timing of when all of that would happen. If it's not going to be till December 1st, we've already missed one event.
No, actually, our meeting is set for November 11th.
Okay.
So it's one day after your November 10th deadline, maybe we can move it up.
Okay, thank you.
So, Mayor, correct me if I'm wrong, so because we've already held the vote, wouldn't someone on the prevailing side have to move to reconsider?
That's a good point, yes.
I wasn't on the
And,
prevailing
but,
side.
and honestly, we don't know, we still have to find BDD expenses if they're eligible too.
Right.
Well, the
So,
The motion, I believe, that currently exists is the funds will be paid for out of the BDD or reimbursed by the BDD from other expenses that have been paid, up to $10,000.
I believe the motion is $10,000.
Okay,
It is
$10,000. And we have a commitment from the president of the Peoria Heights Chamber of Commerce that if that number comes in below, that money will be returned. Is that correct, Mrs. President?
Yes, that
Mr.
is
President?
correct.
but the money won't go to them. They can't receive the money. They don't have an audit.
It is current village policy that we don't reimburse the chamber directly. They would need to provide me with invoices, and I could reimburse their vendors for them on their behalf.
And I thought we were reconsidering the 5,000. Am I wrong?
There's no motion on the floor.
Right.
Yeah, as a compromise, what I would really I would like to go back and support trustee DeVore's motion, but then be open-minded to bring back before the board if there were legitimate expenses over 5,000 that we would consider those.
That's where I thought we were, but someone on the prevailing side, I thought that's what you wanted to do, but someone on the
Yes.
prevailing side has to make the motion. I wasn't on the prevailing
Yeah.
side. So I guess we're sitting here waiting for a motion if we're going to reconsider that or not. I'm sorry, that's where I thought we were. That's why I was.
Right, but that's not happened, correct?
Correct.
Okay, so I would move to call the question that currently exists.
There's no question.
We're waiting for a motion to
To reconsider, we need a motion to reconsider.
And there hasn't been one.
No. So you're asking someone to make the motion?
I am not. I'm asking to move the underlying question forward.
Oh, there's no question to move. So unless someone on the no side wants to make a motion to reconsider,
I thought, oh, okay, you're right, you're right. So trustee Kazan,
Oh,
okay.
Mayor Marfelder,
If I make a motion to reconsider the five,
You're on
You
the-
can't.
you're-
I'm on the,
I
I'm
have
on
to.
the.
we lost.
I have to, or trustee Wigginton, or trustee
Marfel,
Marfel, yes. I would like to make a motion to reconsider, or to
okay, do I have a second to reconsider
reconsider.
the last vote?
I second.
I don't know if that's in order,
Did you make the motion?
but you're not on, again, you're not on the
Oh, you got-
prevailing
you-
side.
Okay, okay. So we can't even second it, is that correct?
Yes, we need a second.
From the prevailing side?
I don't know that that's necessary because I don't know that, I don't think that's required, but that's the ruling of the chair. You can overrule me, but I think anybody can make the second.
I think that's how I understood it as well, so I will go ahead and second it.
All right, so we have a motion to reconsider. We're going to do a voice vote on this. All those in favor of the motion to reconsider signify by saying aye.
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 Those opposed?
Nay.
And so that was trustee Wigginton and trustee Gett. Did I hear you on the no side? Or
Yes.
Two are against? All right, so I'll break that tie and I will be on the prevailing side to reconsider. All right, trustee DeVore, we're going to reconsider this. Would you like to make a motion?
Yeah.
So now we're discussing the original motion to reduce to 5,000. We're reconsidering it. Just so I understand where I'm at.
Yes.
There's been so much discussion, just,
Okay, so
I'm thinking out
really
loud.
we're looking to see if we would reconsider the amount of money we would give.
5,000.
So your motion would be to, the amount would be $5,000 with the village board would reconsider any additional expenses in the future, but right now it's 5,000.
Can I just change my amendment, my motion altogether?
Of course.
I mean, because I feel like it's getting so confusing.
I have an idea.
Go ahead.
my idea is to take away the $4,000 for advertising. This is again my opinion. I'm not an advertising guy or a marketing guy, but I feel like they have several options that we have mentioned to them tonight that they could do advertising, social media, Mr. Bailey, at no cost. So my idea is to the amount of $6,000, which takes care of the other important items on this list here. So I'd make a motion for it to be $6,000.
I'll second it.
Again, from a public works standpoint, that idea is all these on the list are items that the lighting, the electricity, the heaters, those are items that could potentially tie up our public works department. And this is not a village event. I don't feel like our public works department should be spending countless hours out in Tower Park setting up for an event that is not a village event. This $6,000, do you agree, should take care of that, Mike? Where you guys are very,
And
The only thing I discussed with Jill was at the pavilion, and we do decorate that, but we got our own decorations out lighting, so most of it would be lit already with the Christmas tree, but I agree with you.
yeah, I'm just doing this, my thought is doing this in mind with keeping you guys out of it as much.
Right,
You guys have enough stuff to
And I told
do.
her, yeah, we got 7 of us,
Okay.
and I'm one of them, so.
I think that would alleviate any concerns about our public works department being utilized too much. I understand it takes out the advertising, $4,000, but I feel like in our conversations tonight, they've got plenty of ideas and resources to, maybe not, maybe I'm wrong.
I respect that, but I'm worried about strapping them with advertising. I don't want, and I think that Ms. Wakefield understands this, and Trustee DeVore and everyone else who's on the call, I don't want to strap their hands so much that it becomes difficult for them to pay for an event. And so my motion would be up to $10,000, but I.
So if we're still in the comments, we're not strapping the,
so we have a motion.
We have a motion. Mayor, I'm not clear who has seconded the motion to change the donation to $6,000.
I'll second it.
Trustee Weisenberg.
Well, the first one was 5,000. He said 6, you made a motion for 6,000. I second it.
Okay.
Okay, and there was no second to Trustee DeVore's motion of 5,000, so
I
now
think-
we,
No.
Okay. So we aren't strapping them with being able to pay for an event. Their event, if we pass the $6,000, it's funded. What we're strapping them for is the marketing, which several of us don't think is appropriate and needed. With the resources that the village can provide, social media, a radio broadcast, a PBS, all kinds of free marketing. I believe, is it PBS? That has like a 52-mile range.
WTVP.
That has a 52-mile range from this area, I'm pretty sure. So that gets them way outside Peoria. So they have all the resources they need to do marketing. So I would support the.
Can I ask you a question? The trunk or treat on Saturday at the grade school, was that heavily attended?
Yeah,
And what was the advertising done for that? Social media, right?
social media.
Yeah, that's
It
my.
didn't cost a dime.
Right, that's where I'm getting at. I mean, a little bit of effort, I think the $4,000 can be saved by just a little effort in social media. I mean, again, that's just my opinion.
So I guess.
okay, and I assume your motion is to take this out of the BDD, the 6,000?
Yes.
All right. Anyone else on this? All right, Madam Clerk, call the roll to, the motion would be to approve $6,000 expenses for the Kris Kringle Market with funds coming from the BDD.
Mayor.
Mayor, asking for clarification, is this a motion or is this an amendment?
Amendment.
This is a new motion that we've reconsidered. We're reconsidering the motion that's been passed previously.
So this would be the final vote?
Yes.
Okay.
Real quickly, sorry, Mayor. Do you know where Barb went? Is this okay with her, or?
I am not sure. I didn't realize she left the room. So,
Okay.
Jill is
Okay.
Jill's the president.
I understand that, but Barb was the one leading the way about the marketing and the reach, and so I was curious on what she thought, but I'm fine voting without it.
One thing I'll say is, I do worry that this, I hope this board's actions today don't discourage the chamber from coming here. I know that I speak for many of the trustees on this board for taking the initiative to have a project that's going to benefit the businesses here in the community, that's going to offer our residents a Kris Kringle market, which they would have to travel to Chicago, Ottawa, Naperville, Bellevue to get to. I appreciate the chamber taking this initiative, because what's the other option? Nothing. Nothing happening. So I really hesitate in voting for this motion. I think we are putting handcuffs on the chamber, and when we get a result that is not quality, we have provided a self-fulfilling prophecy by that. And I think that a lot of our concerns that we've raised here tonight, by coming from the BDD, the funds generated by the businesses themselves, rather than coming out of the pockets of our residents, this satisfies a lot of the issues that have been raised here tonight. So I applaud the chamber for coming here, and I hope that you're willing to do so in the future. Thank you.
Just real quickly, Mayor, just follow up on a few things. They don't need handcuffs if they don't ask for public money. And I hope they wouldn't be discouraged after this meeting, because they are, after all, asking for charity, and we are providing it. So that's all I have to say.
Okay, anyone else? Okay, Madam Clerk, call the roll.
All right, just to clarify, this is a motion that was made by Trustee Marfel, seconded by Trustee Weisenberg, and the motion is to make a donation to the Kris Kringle Market in the amount of $6,000 funded by BDD number 1, pending eligibility and requiring an audit within 6 months of October 26, 2021. Is that correct, Trustee Marfel and Trustee Weisenberg?
Correct.
Correct.
Trustee DeVore.
Aye.
Trustee Gatt.
Nay.
Trustee Kazam.
Nay.
Trustee Marfel.
Aye.
Trustee Wigginton.
Nay.
Trustee Weisenberg.
Aye. I'm sorry.
All right.
So is it tied again?
It is. And
I'm sorry, Mayor.
I said I would support this, but you have my commitment. We're going to make this happen. But I'm voting in favor of the motion to fund at $6,000. You'll have village staff, you'll have Public Works, you'll have Mike Bailey, and we may have the Convention and Visitors Bureau also, who are excited about this project. If the board does approve that, then they are ready, willing, and able to start. And that piece, I believe, Trustee DeVore, when are you meeting with them?
November 11th, the 11th.
So the meeting following that, whenever that may be, we could bring that before the board for approval. So we're going to make this happen, all right?
Okay.
So that motion passes to fund this event at $6,000 with other services from the village and other possibilities to occur. And I don't think the board closed the door to coming back if things work out, if you need more funding for this. I think we'll be open to that, but this is a starting point.
Thank you very much. We
And
appreciate it.
Please, we want to have a strong and enhanced relationship with the chamber, and you and I think have a meeting tomorrow.
Yes.
So we're going to move forward and make this better.
Okay. Thank you all so very much.
All right. Anything else, Trustee DeVore, under administration?
No.
All right, we'd be at Public Safety. Trustee Wigginton, approval of a purchase of a radio upgrade for the Peoria Heights Fire Department paid for by the foreign fire tax. I'd ask for a motion to approve this.
I move to approve the purchase of a radio upgrade for the Peoria Heights Fire Department paid for by the foreign fire tax.
Second, please.
Second.
Okay, go back to you, Trustee Wigginton.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I think one of the reasons why I was pushing for the last issue to come out of the BDD funds is because I think when a department can find ways to pay for things and be good stewards of the public monies, I think that deserves a lot of respect. And Chief Thompson from the Peoria Heights Fire Department has found ways to pay for much-needed radio equipment upgrades out of the foreign fire tax, which is a tax that's levied, not out of our residents, but from insurance companies, I believe, here in the Illinois area. And another reason why I was pushing for this so badly is because our Peoria Heights Fire Department is going to need additional resources out of that same general fund in the near future to pay for some needed roof upgrades in our lower firehouse. So some budget procedures to save that general fund money so that we can allocate it to our first responders is important. But on this issue, I've talked enough. I appreciate the second, and I'd like to turn it over to Chief Thompson.
So to explain what's going to happen is, what we'd like to do is the chief's buggy outside the pickup truck, we want to get the radio out of it. It's 13 years old. We're having some issues with it keying up when we have to transmit. It's the most used radio within the fire department. That truck goes out pretty much on most of the calls. So we're going to replace that radio, put a new one in there. We also, this is the only vehicle that we have that doesn't have a portable radio in it. So we're going to add a portable radio to that truck. The ladder truck out here on the engineer's panel where the pump operation is done, there's not a radio handset there, so we're going to have a radio handset put on that truck. As well, we're going to take the radio that was in the chief's vehicle, and we're going to put it as a base station down at Station 2 after it has some upgrades done to it. That's a part of the programming on the first page you see from Supreme Radio. They're going to put some upgrades into it, and then we're going to move it down there. So we have a base radio within the station down below the hill.
Thank you. Discussion or questions? All right, Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Trustee DeVore.
Aye.
Trustee Gadd.
Aye.
Trustee Kazan.
Aye.
Trustee Marfel.
Aye.
Trustee Wigginton.
Aye.
Trustee Weisenberg.
Aye.
All right, that passes. Anything else, gentlemen, under public safety? Deputy Chief Ahart, anything? No, sir. Okay. That it?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. That's it.
All right, we'll be at miscellaneous business. Any miscellaneous?
I got some miscellaneous business, Mayor. I'm a little confused. When we took the vote on the Kringle Mart, not to bring that back up, but I thought the final vote was on Trustee Marfel's amendment, which Gett voted no, Beth voted no, but we didn't have a vote for the overall.
That was the overall.
That was the overall.
Okay, so they voted against the overall?
But, and honestly, so
I thought that was the amendment we were voting on.
you had, you know, looking back, you had amended requiring an audit, which in my opinion, and so in hindsight, trying to save money, didn't have Council Walton here tonight, but probably should have had him. When he looks at this tape tomorrow, I'm sure he's going to be amused.
I just thought there should have been
And it really challenged, I thought I was pretty good at parliamentary procedure. This really challenged everything tonight. So in my opinion, what we reconsidered and approved was the motion, but did not include your requirement of an audit. But I don't think that anyone on this board disagrees with that. So in my mind, it's part of it anyway, but it's not. But does that answer your question?
No, because now I'm even more confused, because I thought that amendment was approved.
Yes.
And
But we
then-
reconsidered the entire question.
I thought we reconsidered the failed amendment, which was Sarah's, to reduce it to 4.
Well, again, this is really testing my
No, I understand.
parliamentary knowledge. In my opinion as chair of the meeting, when you reconsidered what you voted on previously. So there was a new motion presented that did not include.
We never held a
that, and I
final
wasn't
vote.
trying, it didn't, we forgot to do that. I think we should have, but
There
I'm
wasn't-
telling you as the mayor that I think we all understood, and we did support the motion, that was unanimous, that there be an audit. So even though I would say that it wasn't part of that motion, that it doesn't impact anything. The board spoke unanimously that audit's very important to us, and I don't think any of us would support any more money in the future unless the audit gets done. We had a commitment from the chamber president that she would get it done. Does that help or confuse?
It confused a little bit, because I thought that when Dave, I'm sorry, guys, to drag this out, but maybe Mark can clarify this, but when Dave made his amendment, we were reconsidering, because the main motion didn't fail. Her amendment failed, and then we reconsidered that amendment. We never had a final vote on the overarching, all of them together.
Well, I will stand corrected.
Did we?
My ruling is that when you reconsider what you've adopted as a whole. So you reconsidered that. He made the motion. There were no amendments to that motion. So in my opinion, that's what we approved as it is, $6,000 for funding for the Kris Kringle Market coming from the BDD funds. In hindsight, we probably should have mentioned that and included that. I'm not opposed to it either way. We can ask council his opinion. Stephanie?
Is that how you recorded
At the end, in a week, when you get done with the minutes, if you can forward those to...
I will certainly do that. Mayor, if it sets your mind at ease at all, when I read out the motion beforehand, I did mention the audit requirement.
That's what I thought. Okay,
If
so
that was
then I was
part- all
even
right.
more concerned.
I didn't
Okay.
hear that because I'm trying to think what the next curve you guys are going to throw at me.
I'm not
so-
gonna throw no more curves, I'm done. Sorry, Mayor.
All right, this has been quite a meeting. Any other miscellaneous business? So Chief Sutton is traveling tomorrow, but I'm going to ask Stephanie to email him. So when it's convenient for him to contact Steve Klein about all of these questions and to summarize, if that's possible, what we've done tonight. And we'll get on this, and hopefully we'll get you some answers of where we're at in the next couple of days. That being said, both the clerk and my administrative assistant informed me today that there is no business for the meeting next week, so unless you all want to meet, I would ask for a motion to cancel the meeting.
I make a motion to cancel the meeting.
A second.
Second? Okay.
I think this meeting covered that meeting.
Covered quite a few. And I was going to thank you all that took time yesterday out of your busy days, to get everything straight. But Trustee Gett,
I move to adjourn this public.
well, wait a minute, but is there any discussion on canceling the meeting?
No, I think Jeff.
All those in favor of canceling the meeting signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Madam Clerk, just let the record show that it was unanimous. All right, Trustee Gett,
Let's adjourn.
have a motion to adjourn. Do I have a second?
Second.
All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed? Ayes have it. Okay.